This PowerPoint presentation is part of Unit 4, Understand the Factors that can Influence Communications and Interactions with Individuals with Dementia, and it's part of the Level 2 Dementia Awareness, and it's run by Plato Training. The aims and objectives of this session are that you will understand the factors which can affect interactions with individuals with dementia. You will see that on each of the slides there is a green box, usually located on the right hand side, which this tells you which slide, which question each slide relates to. But it's also important to share your own ideas when you're working through the PowerPoints to expand your answer within your workbook, and just to remember that the PowerPoint presentation, the slides are here to guide you, and it is good to do some further research to give you more understanding of the contents of each of the areas that you're going to be looking at, and also to help us to see your your understanding, and it shows you are able to do wider reading of the topics. The next few slides relate to question number 1, and we're going to be looking at how understanding an individual's biography and their history can facilitate positive interactions. So if you're going to work with someone, it's important that you know as much about them as you possibly can. The most effective way of doing this is to ask the person concerned what you want to know. Try and find out by taking the time to sit with them and ask them about their life. Someone with dementia may usually be able to recall much of their earlier life, and if they are able to tell you about their history, you will learn a great deal. It's often easy to think about people, especially older people, as you see them now, and you can forget that their lives may have been very different in the past. By knowing about individuals' biography and their history, it will make an individual feel familiar to their environment. It will make them feel safe, respected and valued. It can promote and encourage conversation. If you know about their history, you know about their life, you can talk to them, you can join in a conversation, and this will encourage them to communicate with you. It can often trigger memories of important and happy times in that individual's life. So, for example, what their job role was, what their employment was, their wedding day, any holidays that they've been on, the birth of their children. However, they may show confusion and refer to their mother as their daughter, for example. The individual will reminisce on a specific event, but may find it difficult to accurately discuss and exchange information, so we need to be aware of that. This is where we as the professionals and care workers must understand the individual's history and biography so we can support them in sharing their stories and their experiences. However, it's really important that you need to be aware of negative triggers. So we must always be aware of the biography and the history of an individual that they would not wish to reminisce over. So you must be aware of the topics to be avoided, because this may trigger negativity and upset the individual and maybe their family, friends or their loved ones. So by having a good understanding of an individual's biography and history, it will allow you to plan activities that you know the individual will enjoy and familiarise with. This will promote interaction, socialisation and communication. So this brings you to question number 1, and it's asking you to explain how reading and understanding an individual's biography and their life history can help you to create positive communication and interactions. So think about the last few slides that we've looked at, that we've talked about, and you can use those within your answer, remembering to put it in your own words, and obviously you can do your own research and put some more information on there that you've done yourself, but just remember to put it in your own words. This slide relates to question number 2, and we're going to look at the different techniques that can be used to facilitate positive interactions with an individual with dementia. So, speak clearly and slowly. Really important. It's a technique, that we've talked about, I think, on one of the last sessions about speaking clearly and slowly so that you can communicate and the person that you're talking to can understand you. Listen accurately and don't interrupt. Another really important technique, because you will need to listen accurately. When you're communicating with certain individuals, you might not be able to understand everything they say, so it's important that you do listen carefully. Give the individual time to respond to your questions. And again, we've talked about individual with dementia, they may take time, they have to think, it takes them longer to actually respond, so we need to make sure we give them time to do that. Use appropriate questioning techniques, open or closed. And again, depending on the individual, depending on the situation, you might need to just do some closed questions, or if you've got a longer or you want a more detailed answer, you will then give some open questions, so then they can give you, a little bit more. Use appropriate eye contact, body language and facial expressions. We've talked about that before, important that you do give eye contact, and we've talked about facial expressions and body language to show that you're understanding and you're listening and you're taking these things in. Use the appropriate tone and volume when speaking, and again, making sure you look at the individual and not, sometimes because somebody is elderly, or we talk about dementia, people tend to shout, and you don't need to shout. You just need to know that individual, like we've taught, you need to know what their personal needs are. And if they are a little hard of hearing, you might need to raise your voice a little bit more for them to hear you. But again, it's using that appropriate tone and volume, knowing that individual. Encourage the individual to share conversation with others, so make them feel included. So if you are talking to a group of people, it's important that you make sure that everybody is spoken to and included in that conversation. Don't stand over an individual, make sure you're at the same height and the level. Kneel down if you have to, sit down and get to their level. Don't invade an individual's personal space, and again, it's knowing your individual. Using objects of reference, so using an object to show what you're talking about, what you're communicating with. Picture cards and familiar objects, they can all be used as techniques for this positive interactions. And question number 2, you need to list at least 4 different techniques that can be used to help to have positive communication and interactions with an individual with dementia. And it's a level 2. You need to show your understanding of each technique. So write a short sentence after each technique to show what it means. And you'll see just below here, I've put the top of the table that's in your workbook. So on the left hand side, you need to write the technique. And on the right hand side, you have to show your understanding by saying how it can help the staff have positive communication and interactions with the individuals with dementia. The next few slides relate to question number 3, and we're going to look at how involving others enhances interaction with an individual with dementia. So we're going to look at professionals and how we can involve professionals. So we must ensure that all the correct agencies and professionals are involved in individual care. Professional help from a range of services aids the individual to be more in control of their symptoms. So they will receive expert intervention, care and support for the individual and the family of the individual. Which professionals could help individuals with dementia to communicate? Professionals. So this could include social worker. So they may be able to provide useful information about a person's history and their family situation. A speech and language therapist may be able to suggest ways to address some communication issues. pharmacist or a GP may be able to advise how side effects of medication might impact on communication, and dementia care advisor may be able to offer advice and direct you to useful guidance to improve interactions. And key workers. So key workers ensure the staff caring for an individual with dementia has been accurately matched as their key worker. A good match as a key worker ensures the individual with dementia will receive the best quality of care they deserve. If staff or others do not understand dementia, this can often cause the individual with dementia to become more confused, increasingly frustrated and very agitated and low in mood. It's therefore important that all people working and or caring for individuals with dementia have dementia awareness training. And question 3 is asking you to explain how involving other professionals may improve interaction with an individual with dementia. To answer this question, you need to identify the different professionals and say how they can help a person with dementia to communicate. And now you've come to the end of the session, you should be able to understand the factors which can affect interactions with individuals with dementia.